So you fancy a classic, traditional British sports car? MGBs maybe a little bit too obvious, midgets perhaps a little bit too small, TR6 maybe just a bit too old-fashioned. Well, how about the TR7? Ideal, practical, modern-ish, traditional, classic British sports car. What do they like to own? Well, let's find out. So, the sensible things first. Well, they're a practical car, the TR7. Mechanically, they're pretty simple, really. You've got front engine, rear drive, no surprises. In standard form, the TR7 is just a straightforward 4-cylinder engine. The size that will go in your garage at home as well. They're no bigger, really, than an MGB. You can work on them easily at home. And there's a fair bit of room inside. They were all two-seaters, the TR7s. I mean, there were a couple of aftermarket conversions for a tiny rear seat, but they're really rare. The factory cars were all two seats, the coupes and the convertibles, but they do feel wider inside than a TR6 or a B, and certainly something like a midget. So, you know, they are a practical car for long distance, and you do have a sizable boot as well. So if you want to do a long road trip in your TR7, you needn't worry, you know, you'll get all the stuff in. Otherwise, parts are easy to get. The body parts aren't apparently as easy to get as they used to be. Panels aren't so freely available, not at the moment anyway, but mechanical parts you won't struggle for at all, really. And of course, if you do need to tidy up a scruffy example, you can buy repair parts or repair panels. The expertise and the knowledge and pretty much all of the parts you need is all out there to smarten up a tired example. But you know, buy a nice one in the first place. Why not? Of course, none of the parts that you might need, service parts, certainly are very expensive. TR7 in standard form is pretty good on fuel as well. And they're not too expensive to insure either. Peter Best can cover you on one of these for £111 with just £100 excess. So, you know, that's doable, isn't it? Of course, in Britain, a TR7 was only ever officially a 4-cylinder car. But, of course, they did make the TR8, which they sold briefly in the States, a factory-produced V8 car, which means it's very easy to convert them to V8. And, of course, a lot of people have done that. So you could be forgiven for thinking sometimes that the TR8 was a factory model. You see so many of them on the roads. And if you go to a car show, quite often at least half the TR7s you see will be TR7 V8s, as you should correctly call a V8 converted TR7. There'll be a test on that later. If you do fancy a V8 car, a nicely done conversion can be done pretty much to factory standard, and it drives really nicely. But of course, people do convert the cars themselves to varying standards, and you know, some conversions are better than others. So if you're looking to buy a car and it's a V8 converted car, do just get a feel for how well it's been done. You know, and just drive it and look underneath it and just judge it properly. But you know, if you're looking at a factory standard 4-cylinder car like this one, then obviously you don't need to worry. You've owned this car since
1985, May 85.
So you must be one of the longest serving TR7 owners I've ever met. But what's it been like in that long period of ownership? Have you had to replace much?
Not a great deal. Wear and tear items have generally gone. Still the original engine. Big ends went on the engine probably about 9 years ago. So I had to bite the bullet and get the engine rebuilt, which we did just before COVID. And that then instigated us to rebuild the whole front end, engine bay clear, rebuild the whole front suspension. And it's been back on the road for about three years now. So much of the car is still the original car.
Yeah, it does feel original. Yeah, you've done a bit of bodywork over the years, I guess.
Yeah, 2 wings have been replaced over the years. Arch repair panels on the back, panel behind the rear wheel, they've both been replaced. Yeah. I think they were replaced 7 years from new. So they didn't last very long at all, even though they've been Z-barted.
Are the sills the original?
From memory, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good going, isn't it?
I haven't got receipts for everything right from the early days, because at the time, it's just my daily car.
Yes.
So I didn't think to hold on to all my receipts. I'm not sure how many of these are left now. I said I hardly ever see one on the road.
So if you do see one on the road, and it's a convertible, it's hardly ever a 4-cylinder, is it?
No, that's it.
It's quite interesting to drive this one in its original 4-cylinder form. And it actually doesn't feel sluggish. I think it feels quite lively. So
yeah, I sort of when we started to think about rebuilding this, I toyed with the idea because I had a Dolomite Sprint head.
Yeah.
And I contemplated putting a Sprint conversion onto it.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I've had the car for so long, let's keep it original.
Yeah, well done. Yeah. How do you find the handling? I mean, you've driven it all year round in the wet and everything, haven't you?
It does get used. I love it out in the winter.
Yeah.
Not so much in the salt, but on a really cold, brisk -2 day.
Yeah.
It's a lovely car to drive. Strange looks, obviously. It was my daily car probably for 2 years. And then I bought a Triumph 2000 as my daily car, or my winter car, and a daily car as well. And that started the Triumph cycle from there on. It's nice. I'll drive it in the rain. I was out in the rain last night.
It's quite interesting on these country roads. I drove up here in my S2000 and I changed gear a lot more in that. It's got a fair spread of power, hasn't it, the TR7?
It's pretty good, yeah, that's it. I mean, you can take it down to, it'll pull quite happily in third from very road roads. Fifth is very much an overdrive anyway.
It's actually quite modern to drive in many ways, isn't it? It feels more like a 90s car perhaps. It's without sort of vice, isn't it?
It is, yeah, considering basically it's probably designed in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Probably started in the 60s, realistically, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, compared to a TR6 or something, it's a lot less intimidating to drive, isn't it?
It's far more room. We've done a couple of continental car tours in it, and you've got so much space, and we're planning to go to Lake Garda next year with hopefully 4 or 5, maybe 6 other TRs. And Northern Spain and Portugal 2 years ago, which was one of my best driving holidays ever.
So you've driven this all over Europe.
Yeah.
That says all you need to know about how practical the TR7 is, I guess.
That's it. We didn't have a single problem with it last 2 years ago, which was brilliant.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it. Basically a 40, and it hasn't had as much money spent on it as it should have done.
It feels to me more willing than an MGB though. I've always thought the B series was a bit breathless, but
it is more advanced than an
it's
MGB.
More
an MGB still is what, 1962, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ultimately, but I would never swap it. Having had it this long, it'll never.
You wouldn't swap it. You just carry on adding more Triumphs.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I should point out that Phil, the owner of this car here, he's also got a Triumph 2000 Estate and a Stag. He bought the Stag to be more practical, so he had 4 seats. That's some man maths right there. So it's been a long time since I've driven a TR7, and I'm glad to say that everything I've written about the TR7 in the intervening time, about it being a very practical and modern driving car, is true. You've always made it home in the TR7.
Yeah. That's it. The wipers aren't working at the moment, but which is why I was looking
at the detail.
Yeah, that's it. They broke down in the lakes last year and we fixed it, but it's gone again.
It's been 30 degrees the last few days.
Yeah.
Fine.
So we had a piece of string attached onto that wiper blade. This window was down, the roof was up, and we flicked the wipers. They went that way, but they wouldn't come back. So a piece of string to pull it back.
Well, there you go. In absolutely decades of ownership, Phil's biggest problem has been the wipers failing.
Yeah,
and I've had that happen to me on brand new press loan cars. So,
have you? Right.
Yeah, that is good going. So there you have it. Been out for driving a TR7, and I'm still convinced that it's a nice left field alternative to something like an MGB. Easy to own, practical to own, and not too expensive to own or indeed buy. So if you want more classic car advice and random thoughts, then like and subscribe.